Hi everyone, I'm struggling to build AI agent that actually works. You'll know a lot. Today I'm going to show you how you can create AI agent or AI workflow that deliver real result in 2025. I have spent months researching to understand actually what makes AI agent a success and fail, including insight from the Anthropic latest research, where they have done an extensive research with all the partners they worked with last 12 months and come up with some tactics to how you can build a better AI agent and AI workflow. They have shared what they have learned after building AI system for their clients for more than 12 months. Their insights are valuable because they come from real production experience. I have taken this concept and built working example in N8, which I will walk you through step by step. If you are building an AI agent, this workflow pattern will help you make better design choices. I will explain the difference between workflow, agentic workflow or AI agent, and how to use them and when to use them. I have created practical example you can actually use, not just the theory. I have covered all the patterns from Anthropic research with real example, and these templates are free. I'll include the link of these patterns in the video description where you can download those for free and start utilizing them. This video will help you understand how to build effective AI systems based on proven methods. Before we dive in, let me give you a quick roadmap. We'll break it down into 4 steps. First, I will explain the critical difference between workflow, agentic workflow, and AI agent. When to use them and what scenario you should use a workflow, agentic workflow, and an AI agent, because making the right decision will make your life much easier down the track, because that will drive consistent and predictable outcome every time on your automation. The second what we'll cover is what are some of the reasons why the agent currently fails. Based on the research, we'll dive into the most 3 common reasons why AI agent fails today. And then we'll deep dive into the Anthropic research and the proven patterns. Understanding that pattern is crucial. We're not just going to talk about the theory in the research paper. We'll build a practical scenario you can actually download and start using today. The downloadable link will be in the description. If you want to follow along, go ahead to that now. And finally, I will share some tips which will put your AI automation ahead of 95% of what's out there in 2025. I have designed this tutorial to be completely accessible regardless of your technical background. All the materials for this will be available in the description for free, so go ahead and download and follow along. I'll also include the packs I'm currently using to navigate the video. Everyone talks about AI agents. So what is an AI agent? It's like your super smart friend who can decide and act independently. Unlike simple AI tools that just perform specific tasks, agents are more like your chef who decide the recipe and cook based on what ingredients available. Imagine you have a super smart best friend. In my case, my highly organized wife. If I say, honey, let's plan an exciting weekend in Melbourne, she doesn't need step-by-step instruction. She will check the weather, find the available flight, research the cool event, and book a restaurant all on her own. That's exactly what AI agent does. It's not just a chatbot that answers a question. It thinks, decide, and act on its own to accomplish task. Let me give you an example. An AI agent that can manage your schedule, content, answer customer queries, all without programming every single steps. AI agent can check calendar, identify who is attending the meetings, even generate summaries and send communication from a single request. If you compare the AI agent to a simple AI tool, simple AI tools perform a single function when instructed, where AI agent make decision and take action independently. Simple AI tool is limited to predefined operation. You have to predefine all the steps, and that's how that simple AI tool will work. Through AI agent adapt to change in circumstances, it will decide what course of action to take based on user input. Let's quickly understand what is a workflow, what is an AI workflow, or we call it agentic workflow, and what is an AI agent. There's a lot of confusion around the AI terms, so let's clear things up. People often use agent and workflow interchangeably, but there are 2 different approaches. A workflow is simply a series of steps which has been predetermined. It requires explicit rule for every scenario and human help for unexpected situations. Workflow follows a fixed path with predetermined steps which require explicit rule for every scenario within the workflow. An agentic workflow is very similar to an workflow. An agentic workflow is like following a recipe. It's chain of tasks together in a perfect sequence which plan input and output with the help of an LLM. What it means by that, the difference between a workflow and agentic workflow, you will have in steps where An LLM will take an input and provide some output as part of the workflow. But again, it still follows the same path which has been predetermined by the user. Now the AI agent is more autonomous. It's like a personal assistant with the decision-making power. An agent AI to decide what action to take, how many steps are needed, and when to stop. All based on the task. There's no predetermined step. It's adopted dynamic. The key difference between the AI agent and AI workflow is that workflow follow a script which you write, where agent writes their own script as they go. This distinction is crucial because choosing the wrong approach can waste weeks of development. Here's the fact. Those fancy AI agent on YouTube with got 1,000 different tools connected to looks super cool, but typically fails around 40% of the time. Meanwhile, a well-designed workflow has a failure rate close to zero. That's why understanding when to use an AI workflow and when to use an AI agent will be crucial for your development. Use a workflow when the task is clear and has a predictable path. Workflow are easier to control and debugging is much easier than AI agent because you define every single steps. They are perfect for critical business processes where reliability is non-negotiable. For example, you use an agent when the task is open-ended or require adaptability, or there's multiple ways you can solve that problem. That's why you should be using an agent. For example, like home renovation planning that require estimated costs, suggesting alternative, and adopting unexpected issues. Meal planning that adjusts recipe based on ingredients you have and learn from feedback. Imagine you run an online store. A workflow could be an email, which is a thank you for buying note. Simple template every time someone buys something from your online store. But an AI agent could be about answering product related questions. That's why we need to use an AI agent, because the customer might ask a question about how many stocks do you have. So then the AI agent needs to understand what product the customer is inquiring about, then go and check the inventory and reply with a personalized stock update. Now, this adaptability is why AI agent shine for custom. Now we know when to use agent or when to use AI workflow. Let's talk about why so many agent fails today and the simple fixes that will make you succeed. You've seen those flash demos in YouTube that AI books your travel agent. You can write a copy with AI can write codes and build a full-scale software. But in reality, even tech giants like Apple and Amazon are struggling with AI agents. Based on my research and Anthropic papers, here are some of the 3 biggest reasons agent fail. Also, from my experience, I've been a consultant for the last 8 years where I work with multinational companies, and my job was to assess the process and identify manual and inefficient processes and make them more efficient through either automation or process improvement. One of the things business really want when they're implementing a technology is that it's reliable, consistently generating the same outcome. And that's why our business will adopt a new technology. With AI agent, one thing I learned throughout my research as well as Anthropic is that a lot of the agent fail because it doesn't generate consistent output, what the business looks for. Here are the 3 main reasons why an AI agent currently fails. The first one is too complicated, too fast. People jump straight into the fancy multi-tools setup, which looks cool on the screen, but a lot of the time it actually doesn't generate consistent outcome. So what we're trying to do is build a rocket without learning a bicycle. The other really important, when you build the AI agent, we don't really build any mechanism to monitor how the AI agent is making decisions. We don't have an inbuilt process where we build KPI where we can track how the AI agent is making decisions and making sure that it's actually making them. And final one is the scaling chaos. It's really cool to do a demo in YouTube or build a very fancy looking AI agent, but when you're scaling out, when it does hundreds of thousands of operations on a daily basis, most of them really fail. Here's the secret sauce that will make your AI agent success where other one fails. Start very small. You gotta test relentlessly. You have to use different type of data. You have to use different scenario to make sure you test. The Anthropic research paper shows that the most reliable agent use simple steps that stack up like a Lego blocks rather than trying to do everything in one giant steps. In the next slide, I'll introduce you to the NA10, the tool we'll be using to implement the principle from the Anthropic research paper without writing a single line of code. Today, we'll be using NA10 to build 6 different AI workflows. If you wanted to follow along, check out the link in the description and download it. It is super easy. If you're building AI solution for clients or company, mastering these patterns will instantly set your work apart from 95% of others what they're building. And if you're not familiar with NA10, NA10 is an automation platform where you can build automation without any code. So it's a drag and drop scenario where you can drag and drop and create a very complex automation solution using the tool. Na10 has been really popular. Everyone is talking about an Na10 because it's agent feature. So you can build very complex AI agent through Na10. So go ahead down to the na10.io or link in the description, sign up and download my template and import those into and start playing with it. Our first pattern is prompt chaining. Prompt chaining is breaking down complex tasks into sequential steps with each AI call using the output from the previous steps. So that makes a complex task more manageable by having the AI focus on the small chunk one at a time. Let me give you a quick example. In this pattern, if we use this pattern for generating a story, what will happen is that in the first step, the AI will generate the story idea, and then the next what it'll do is create an outline to create the stories. And then from that outline, the LLM will write the story and provide the output. Let's jump into Na10 and see in practical how this workflow will actually work. Now we are in Na10. Download the workflow using the link in the description. Then go in here and import from files. You'll be able to import this workflow on your canvas. In Na10, every workflow needs a trigger. The trigger is basically the event which workflow. For us, we're using a form trigger, but there are many other triggers you can use. You can use schedule trigger, you can use app event. What it means that if the email comes in, the automation will start. For our case, we'll be using a form. Through that form, we'll be asking the user what kind of story they wanted to write. I already have some sample data in there. So the story we wanted to write is how are the LLM adversely affecting human memory. That means we can use the data to test our workflow as we're building it. The first one is creating outline. The second one is writing each section of that outline, and finally, as an editor, bring it all together and then sending that article through an email. So now the LLM is processing the data and come up with an outline. As you can see, they came up with an outline. So they have an LLM information source and cognitive and reduced memory came up with this outline. What's happening here is that this is all generated. If you look into the JSON file or the schema, everything has been outputted under this content. We're separating out through this split out section. From that, we're using this node, which will write each of the outline sections. So let's this data and test. It will take some time because it's processing all the different outlines and generating content for each of the outlines. So produce the story for each of the outline. Then it's generated quite a lot of content. As you can see, all of this has been produced separately. As you can see, all the text has been combined. Our next editor AI can actually put it all together. We will go to the blog editor. The role is to get all the information and create a story. The blog editor has completed its job. And if you're interested in what's the system prompt, let's look at the system prompt. You are a professional blog writer, review the draft blog post and improve by enhancing the clarity of flow, fixing any grammatical and structural issue, ensuring consistent tone and style. And you can see, so it's working as an editor and getting all this content and putting all together, stitching all together and creating an HTML output because it will be email using Gmail. So let's do that. Test these steps. There you go. The email has been sent. Let me go to my email. As you can see, it's created. Prompt chaining is basically breaking down the large tasks to small pieces so I can focus on the small pieces and produce quality and consistent work instead of focusing the whole thing. So our first pattern is done. Let's look at the next one, which we call route. Pattern number 2 is routing. Think of this as a smart copy that direct request to the right specialist. This is perfect for customer support or any other situation where a different type of requests come through in one place and then you have to sort out this different type of request and then send it to the right person on the screen that the request comes in, and then the LLM decide, or you call it a router, it decides based on the request which LLM that it needs to direct the request to, and from that LLM look after that request and provide an output. For an example, we'll be creating a simulation for a customer support team where they'll be receiving a customer request but relates to either tech support, billing or refund. When the email comes in, our LLM decide what type of request is that, and based on that it directs to that particular area, and from that particular area then they respond to that query through that LLM and send it back to the customer. Let's head back to Na10 and see how that works in real life. Here we are in Na10. Here's the design for the customer support agent where it can route automatically based on the type of request it receives. You can use that in real life ready. In real scenario, what you'll have is that you will have an email trigger. As soon as the customer email comes in, it will read the email and decide what type of query that is. Is it a general, is it a technical, is it a billing, or is it a refund related query? Then it will direct the request to that particular area, and from that they'll be able to respond that query and email back to the customer. So let's check one. I think we already have some sample data. Name is Michael Johnson. That's my email. Again, it's just a demo. I've been trying to export my data to CSV, but keep getting an invalid format error. He's got some technical issues, so he sent an email. What will happen is that it will come to this area where we will decide what type of query is that. So let's open this up. And it's we call it a text classifier. This is the node we're actually using here. So what's happening in the text classifier you have is an input. So what is the input? Customer email. And then you can add category, as many category as you want. So what it says, first one is general. It's a general query about products and services. Next one is technical issue or troubleshooting. Billing, a question about billing, payment and subscription. And refund, a category about other query they can get. So you can have a product category. But as you see, you can add as many categories as you want. For our case, I added a 4.1 mini, and let's test it. So as you can see, it identifies, it didn't produce any output because it didn't classify this as a general query. But if you go to technical, it's actually classified this as a technical query. And billing and the refund is blank because it's a technical query. It's got 4 routes, a technical issue node. What's happening here, it's our usual line node where we'll have a system prompt and a user prompt. User prompt is the actual query or the email. And then let's look at the system prompt. Your technical support specialist provide detailed step-by-step troubleshooting instruction for technical issue in clear, precise language and break down complex problem into manageable steps. Focus on common solution first, then process to more advanced troubleshooting where appropriate. Explain why certain steps works to help the user learn. Thank you for reaching out. I understand that exporting your data to CSV in Chrome or Windows 10 is resulting in invalid format error. Since this process worked fine last month, let's go through some troubleshooting steps to identify and resolve the issues. As you can see, so it provided quite an in-depth instruction on how to resolve that issue. We'll send that as an email back to the user. Now you try this. Let's go back to my email. We got an email from customer response. Thank you for reaching out. I understand they get data to CSV in Chrome on Windows is resulting in an invalid format error, and it provides some steps to resolve that issue. Based on the query we received, you have the smart agents here receiving the query and understanding what type of queries, then rerouted to the appropriate AI agent. And that's why the query has been taken care of and respond back to the user. In my experience, this approach improved the responses accuracy by over 40% compared to using a single general purpose AI doing everything. If you're handling customer communication, this pattern alone could improve your customer satisfaction score while reducing response time. Let's move into our next pattern, which is supercharge AI system even further. So our third pattern is parallelization. It's like hiring a team to work simultaneously on different aspects of the same task. Instead of one agent doing everything sequentially, multiple AI working parallel, then combine the end result together and provide a single output. A good example would be a travel planning assistant. So where users said, I need to plan for a travel for Sydney to Melbourne. So then you will have different LLM to different things. Like one will look for these flights, one will look for the activities, and one will look for the accommodation. And then this will all combine together and provide a single output. So let's jump into n8n to see how that works in real life. Here's your travel plan. I have a trigger node where we submit the request. We ask for a name, email address, location, days when we're planning for trip, destination, budget, trip start dates. Once it's been submitted, it goes through a code node for purposes when you're looking for flights and you check in, check out dates. The date needs to be formatted in a certain way. Through this code node, we reproduce the same information in a different format. If you look at the dates, all the dates are formatted, check-in date and check-out date, because what that is check-out date. Once that's done, what will happen is that it will go to 3 AI node. The second one is look for activity, and the third one find flight. Let's play that. It looks like it's found some stuff. Yeah, certainly there's some 3 must-do activities in Melbourne for your 3-day trip. So it finds some activity, and let's look at the flights. It's got some recommended flight options for your trip from Sydney to Melbourne, departing on this particular day, returning on this. Route overview from Sydney, blah, blah, blah. From that is actually going to a margin. So what it's doing is it's combining everything in one. It's combined, and then from that using this AI node to create an actual travel plan using this information. Let's go in there. If you want to look at the system prompts, by the way, when you download this template from the description, you will have all this prompts will be built into those workflows, so you don't have to worry about that. So let's do a test plan. Let's email that. Here you got a beautiful travel plan for Sydney to Melbourne, moderate budget, day 1, day 2, day 3. Yeah, it's pretty good. So far we have covered 3 patterns. Now look at the next pattern, which is an orchestrator. Think of this as having a manager who can break down a big task and delegate subtasks to the specialist. If you look at our diagram here, the request comes in, then the orchestrator analyze the request and break down this task and allocate this task to LLM 1, 2, and 3. Then they will provide an output, and then it will have a synthesizer which will combine all these output from LLMs and provide an output. So let's head down to an annotator to see how we can build this. This is one of the complex ones, but I'll break it down in a way so that it makes sense. So the purpose of this workflow in real life will be that if you're getting a lot of customer feedback, you need to analyze each of this feedback to identify is it a positive, is it a negative feedback, or what kind of sentiments in that feedback, and what are some of the improvement we can drive through this feedback. We can automate this through this particular workflow. Our form is a trick, but in a real life scenario, you will have an email trigger because customer will provide feedback through most probably an email or sometimes through a website form submission. If you look at our form, this is the feedback we receive from the customer. It's related to a mobile app. So the mobile app keep crashing wherever I try to complete a checkout. This is the 3rd time it's happened. They say, I love the new user interface design. It's much cleaner and easier to navigate than before. Would it be possible to add a save for later feature? I often find items I like but not ready to purchase immediately. Customer support took 3 days to respond to my email about a billing issue. By the time they reply, I already figured out myself. And so from that, blah, 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 as you can see, someone is providing feedback on their app. Obviously, there are some positives and some negatives where the company can improve. Let's look at the system prompt first. Analyze the orchestrator. Your job is to examine customer feedback data and identify and extract 3 technical tasks that need to be performed. You must return these 3 specific tasks in JSON format. Task 1, perform a sentiment analysis on customer feedback to identify positive and negative emotion relates to this app, website, product, whatever they're selling. Task 2, extract and categorize key topics from the feedback such as app crash and UI design, customer support, product quality, delivery issue, and payment option. Task 3, identify and combine customer suggestion and feature request, card functionality, additional payment method, loyalty discount, and so on. Let's test that. So it gives us 3 sentiment. It created 3 different tasks. So the first one is to perform sentiment analysis on customer feedback to identify positive and negative emotion relate to the app, website, and product. Task number 2, extract, categorize key topics from the feedback such as app crashes, UI design, so on. Task 3, identify and combine customer suggestion and feature requesting. From there, it goes to a code note and it's break down the 3 tasks into task 1, task 2, and task 3. And then it goes through a loop. So if you can see through the loop, it's got 3 items coming into the loop, then 3 items coming out of the loop. Through the loop, it goes to the switch node. Through the switch node, it will identify the task and it allocate or dedicated to each of the separate LLM. And they will provide output, and each of the output get merged into this and then aggregated together and emailed back to the customer. So let's check out our email, see what we got. So we got an email about customer feedback and analysis report. Some of the requests we get: add a save for letter, improve apps stability, and more payment options such as PayPal and Apple. Sentiment, app and website performance, product quality and packaging, customer support and response time. It's taking customer feedback and breaking down to different chunk of area where they can meaningfully use that feedback to improve their product or add more feature. Also, you can see it analyze the customer feedback for sentiment, and it provided around 30% positive, 50% negative, and 15% true. From this workflow is that each orchestrator get the task and divide it into 3 different subtasks. Then it delegated each subtask to an individual LLM And then each worker then tackle it, assign topics with specialized expertise, and the workers combine everything and provide a comprehensive email report. Our fifth pattern is called Evaluator Optimizer. So this pattern involves one LLM generating content while another one evaluates and provide feedback based on a certain criteria. For example, if you look at the screen, imagine this is a content creation process. So when the first LLM create content, then it goes to the second LLM and it's evaluate based on a certain criteria. And if the criteria is met, then it's provide the output. But if the criteria hasn't met, then it goes back to the original LLM with the feedback, and then the original LLM again try to generate the content with the feedback and give it back to the evaluator, and then the evaluator evaluate again, and if it's accepted and match the criteria, then it provide an output. Now let's go to the NA10 and look at a workflow to see how that works. So now we're looking at the workflow called Evaluator Optimizer. It's a block creation process to the form submission. So as part of the form submission, what we're requesting the LLM to do is generate an article which relates to the role of artificial intelligence in modern healthcare. We provide them a target audience. Target audience is the healthcare professional with limited technical background. We also give them some key points. It's going to this content generator LLM. Let's look at the system prompt. You're a professional content writer. Create a well-structured blog post on the given topics. The post should include an engaging introduction, 35 minutes each section with clear heading, relative example, details, a complaining conclusion, a call to action. Your writing should be clear, engaging, and tailored to the targeted audience. Look at the quality evaluator. What's happening in here is that the prompt reads as you are an expert content editor and writing coach. Evaluate the provided blog post based on this criteria. We've set 4 criteria in each of them. We were asking the LLM to mark on a scale 1 to 10, and then we provide an example how the output should be. We're also asking LLM provide an overall score. So you can see it's as an output, it provide an overall score and also provide a score based on each category. And then it give us some bullet point around the strength, what are some of the article, and also provided some suggestion how to improve that. If the overall score is equal or greater than 9, then it passed the quality assurance process. But if it is less than 9, then it goes to the content optimizer, get the feedback from the previous quality evaluator, and then try to regenerate the article with the feedback and send it as an email. If you are creating content at scale, this pattern is a game changer. It's like having a built-in quality control system that catches and fixes issues before the audience ever sees them. What makes it especially powerful is that you can customize this evaluation criteria for any use cases, from legal compliance to brand voice consistency. Next up, our final pattern is the true agent, the most flexible and powerful approach, but also the most complex. The true agent makes their own decision about what step to take based on the goal you have given them. Let me show you a practical example. A meeting scheduler that handles the entire process anonymously. The agent will be able to check the calendar availability, identify the participant, select an optimal time, and send invitation to the relevant people with an email. Now head down to the NA10 and look at a true AI agent. This is the calendar agent we'll be working through today. First of all, any agent you build in NA10, it needs to have some kind of a trigger or some kind of way to communicate with the agent, which is this chat message. And then this is the actual agent or the calendar agent. So if you click in there, under the agent, there's a couple of options you can choose from. It's a tool agent, conversational agent, OpenAI functional agent. Most of the time you're building an agent, it do be around tool agent because you want your agent to use tools to take some action. Unless if you just wanted to have a conversation, then you can have this and you don't need to connect any tool. But most of the real life scenario, you will have to use this because you want your agent to do some kind of task on behalf of you. From that, leave as it is. And then this is the system prompt. System prompt is, so it's bit details, but one of the key things for calendar agent is that you need to ensure that it knows the current date and time. For example, so if I said that, can my calendar agent saying that, hey, can you book a meeting with Mark at 2 p.m. today? It needs to know what today is. So then it is really important that we do that. In terms of prompt perspective, you can customize this the way you want it. From that, it needs a couple of things. So it needs chat model. What means that it needs his brain. Using the chat model, the agent can actually think and process information and do relevant tasks. Then we also connect a memory. Again, it needs the memory because you don't want it to explain the same thing over and over every time you have a conversation. It's good to give some memory so it can remember last 5 conversations. Then the tools perspective, what I have given it a check calendar, because it needs to check the calendar to make sure that there's availability. Then add an event and a Gmail note, because once the event has been created, we send an email to let all the attendees know that the event has been created. The other tools you can give is like a delete event, update events, but just to keep it simple, you're going to use these 3 tools. So then let's have a conversation. Hi, how can I assist you today? Can you book, let's see, do I have an event today? So I have it in my calendar. If I want the details, it can just let it know. But let's go ahead and create an event with Mark. Just gonna use in real life scenario, you don't have to specify the email address, because you will have a tool here, like a Google Sheet, which will have all the list of names and addresses, so you can pick up from there. But for our case, we haven't connected it. That's why I'm just specify the email. Can you create an event in Mark at 2 p.m. today for a quick catch up about the coming training session? So the calendar agent is working. We checked availability in the calendar. Yeah. Saying the time slot 2 is available. Here's the details I will create. Yes. Yeah. So now he's actually creating the events and sending the email as well. If we look at the actions he has taken, it's got the request, update its memory, then it's pulled the system message, put in the AI agent, and then it also sent an email saying that, hi Mark, you've got an event, then using the AI model to respond back to us. So let's have a look at what it created. Yeah, so I can see it created. Let's get in there. You can see one guest, a quick meeting to discuss the upcoming training session. Done. And then let's go check the email. Hi Mark, you're invited to a catch-up meeting today at 2 p.m. to discuss the upcoming training session. So as you can see, this one is very powerful. The other thing I wanted to highlight quickly is that these are the steps it has taken when it was. These are some of the steps he's taken to accomplish the overall task. If you look at the agent itself, we actually haven't prescribed any of these. We just give it a general instruction through our system message. Before you wrap up, here are some tips to make your AI agent rocks in 2025. Start simple. Begin with one pattern, test it thoroughly, then gradually add complexity. Most tasks actually doesn't need a true AI agent. It just needs simple AI workflow. In my experience, building AI agent and workflow, one of the things I learned by talking to so many different clients, that the clients really want consistency before they implement it. They need to make sure that the tools they're implementing in their processes, consistently generating the same and reliable outcome. And that is only possible at this point using workflow, not the agent, because agents are still developing. Sometimes the tools that we connected to the agent, it doesn't actually work and agent get confused. So it's always better to use a workflow where you can. Test everything and try your system at least 10 to 20 different inputs before deploying it. Think about all the different scenarios your agent might face and use that to test. Add guardrails. For true agent, always implement checks that verify output before taking an action. A simple prompt like, is this email safe and appropriate to send, can prevent embarrassing mistakes. Grow incrementally. It's really important. Master one domain before expanding to others. Probably focus on building the workflow fast. And then once you think you master the building workflow, then move into the AI agent. Use different patterns. Most powerful systems you'll be building in real life will have multiple different patterns, which you talked about earlier. Master those patterns and then start combining some of those patterns and come up with a new workflow. If you're ready to build yourself, download the N10 using the link in the description and try my example templates. I have included all the patterns we covered today so that you can start exploring right away. Tutorial help you understand AI system better, play AI system better. Please hit the like button, and it really helps the channel reach more people like you. If you want more AI tutorials, subscribe and ring the bells. So what do you want your AI agent to do? Comment below. And what agent do you want me to build? Let me know in the comment. Thanks for watching. Let's build smarter AI together in 2020.